And good morning. We're back on the Impact Podcast Studio Series live at the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation. We are here joined by Miss Tyecia White. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's truly my honor.
Yes.
Love to talk about what is now my purpose, not just my job, which is
Indeed.
estate planning and probate work. Want to protect the wealth that our forefathers and currently us are working so hard to build. So I'm
Yes.
looking forward to this conversation.
So where are you located? I know
Yeah.
the conference is national, but where are you really
I'm
based?
actually based right here in Washington, D.C., but I am licensed to practice in Maryland, D.C., and North Carolina. So shout out to my home people down in North Carolina.
Yes. So there's a number of conversations that have been happening nationally about a great wealth transfer or great transfer of wealth.
Yeah.
Can you tell me just kind of your viewpoint, and do you really believe that that's true?
Yes, I do believe it's true. So they've studied this between over the next 10 years. We're expecting to see 60 to 80 trillion dollars in wealth transfer
Wow.
from one generation to next. And if you think about it, that makes sense. So for our community, what that means is our grandparents, right? Most likely to be first generation asset builders. So
Right,
they at
correct.
least have a home, maybe a retirement account,
Right.
and they've naturally reached the end of the life cycle. So for instance, in DC, what's really interesting is a lot of people saw their grandparents purchase property around U Street or other really popular corridors back in the 60s, 70s, $45,000-$50,000 purchase.
Right. And those homes are now $1 million.
They're selling
right?
for easily $1 million.
Easily.
So,
You like the closet is not big enough, but okay.
But more significantly, it's like that's the way a lot of us are building wealth is through
Correct.
home ownership. And
Indeed.
so what's happening, what I'm seeing is there wasn't a plan in place for what's going to happen when mom or dad, grandparents are not here. And so
Right.
family ends up being in disarray because everybody wants a piece of that pie.
Yeah. So when we talk about the stakes of protecting family assets, I know that plenty of people are watching the court shows that are happening on
Yes.
TV, and some people talk about it scripted, but I really believe that is a real thing.
It is. Yeah. One day I'm going to have a probate court TV show. That's the end goal.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we're gonna
wanna
look for
see
her.
some drama,
We are gonna
okay?
look for her. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about like losing land, right? We have a number of families who, unfortunately, through the process, whether it's the legal fees that they're like accruing, or just they're not taking care of the taxes, they are losing land. Unfortunately, that is now being bought up in droves
Correct.
by other entities. So can you talk about a little bit about that?
Sure. So why the great transfer is so important to me is because the last kind of transfer of wealth, we missed it, right? So
Right.
at the turn of I don't even know the centuries now, but early 1900s, a lot of Black people view land ownership as the main source of wealth. So once we were able to actually buy land, a lot of people did buy land. So we had about 20 million acres of land, and we now only have about 3 million acres.
Wow.
And a lot of that has been lost due to estate planning or the lack thereof, and the default laws that creates an heirship issue. So if you don't have a plan, then basically a whole crew of people stand to inherit. And as you can imagine, it's hard to get.
It is
10 kids and then 20 grandkids and then 50 great grandkids on the same page. And so, like you said, we're losing it because it's like the bills still have to be paid for that property. So who's going to pay the taxes? Nobody wants to do it.
No one wants to pay the taxes. Okay?
Well, where are these other people to help me?
Correct.
Sometimes, there's a great documentary called Silver Dollar Road. It's about this very valuable land in North Carolina and the trouble they had with heirship property. So if you get a chance, check that documentary out. But one heir kind of concocted the whole thing, sold a piece to developers, and that family has been fighting for decades for that land.
Wow.
So that's how we've lost it. So that's why I say now we're on the cusp of the next transfer. So let's do it right this time.
So when we talk about doing it right, what does creating a plan look like?
So creating a plan looks like actually working with an attorney. I see a lot of people try to do it on their own, and I'm an attorney that gets that plan that was done on your own, and it's a mess. So it looks like stop trying to do it on your own. I get it. Like it is definitely an investment that you're making in the future when you're doing an estate plan. So working with an experienced estate planning and probate attorney, Ideally, your estate planning attorney does probate, because probate should inform you of how to be a better estate planning attorney. Okay, you get to see all the gump.
Right.
So it looks like just having that initial consultation, having an understanding of like what it is that you have to protect, who you want to inherit from you,
Right.
and then working with that attorney to get legally sound documents in place.
And you know, I'm actually have had this conversation with family members before,
Mhm.
just you know, broadly.
Yeah.
But then recently with, you know, other family members passing, it's always interesting to hear how people are like delegating the power of attorney or
Mhm.
delegating the person who is your health proxy, right?
Yes.
And there's some members who feel like they need to be the health proxy, and others
Yeah.
feel like they're the power of attorney. So how do you get everybody on the same page in the room? I guess that's a
Yes.
major question, because
So, yeah.
you know, time is money and billable hours. How do you get people when they come to see you on the same page?
So I'll say this, you know, your best estate plan is having a family that can work together, but that we know that's not always the case.
Correct.
Right? What I tend to tell people is, for your own stuff, it's fine. Like, and I prefer you to do it early on, because then
Correct.
you don't have the weigh in of other people. I think you're talking about a situation where it's like, we're trying to get grandma who didn't do an estate plan together. And so, yes. So oftentimes people do see being the power of attorney or being the healthcare agent as, well, I'm in control, I make decisions.
Correct.
Think the movie Soul Food, right? Well, I'm
Right.
mama's POA and I decide.
Yes.
Well, actually, those things actually are fiduciary obligations. And I'm seeing a lot of cases now where people have dipped and dabbled into the, you know, the pot that was grandma's, and now the family's like, well, that money should have been coming over here. So now there's lawsuits. So I think one of the things is I try to help people to see is that this isn't necessarily just a reward. This is also work. And so that should help to really see, like, okay, do I really want to take on that risk of the whole family being mad at me? Another way I think to help resolve it, so I've mentioned doing your own plan, so then you resolve it for them.
Correct.
Okay. 2 is knowing if you're being tasked with that or you're wanting that task, to know that it's a burden. And then 3, honestly, we got to just start talking about this more.
We do.
I know it's scary. We're talking about something morbid, but it's a fact of life.
Right.
We're all going to transition at some point.
And the business of life is still business.
It is.
It is.
The bills keep coming.
The bills do not wait for anyone. I can tell you that. I do want to talk about, you know, people think that they've made a plan when they write their little will on a piece of paper.
Yeah, no.
That works. I mean, I hear people say that all the time. Oh, you can leave my dog to my cousin, or you can leave this to this.
Yeah.
But and I wrote it on a piece of paper. But does that stand up in court?
Yeah.
What does that look like?
So speaking of that, my dog is now spilling the tea about some of those things. So one of the things she's going to be talking about is, most states don't honor oral wills. Okay. So they don't. So you need to actually get it not just written down, but you've got to have proper witnesses. Some states are requiring notarization. So one of the things that people don't get is that if you have witnesses and they're family members that you want to inherit, by law, if they are the witness, they have actually disinherited themselves.
What?
Yeah. So I'm trying to get people, again, I'm trying to do it yourself.
I know.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. That is very true. I mean, even when we talk about, you know, how much time or when should you in your lifetime start planning, right? We have a number of people, I'll speak to myself, I'm in my 40s.
Yeah.
You know, having the conversations with your parents who might be in their 60s is one thing.
Yes.
But some people wait until they're in their 60s to even think about it. And then you have issues sometimes with people having health challenges. And then they don't have all of their faculties, if you will, to actually get to that point where they can do that.
So one thing I want us to stop kind of thinking about is that, like, estate planning or it's just for the wealthy. It's really not.
Correct.
Because there are more documents in a comprehensive estate plan that deal with your life. So like you said, like, you do need someone to make that healthcare decision for you if you get sick. You can't do that after you get sick. You got to kind of do these things before. So the proper time, I think, to start planning is, I think these will make great college graduation gifts, right? Like, pay for, contribute to a college, graduate's estate plan.
Nice.
When parents are sending their kids off to college, at least do some of those foundational things, like get a power of attorney in place, get a healthcare proxy in place. But really, once you kind of start accumulating assets, so between that 30s and like mid 60s, get it done then, because like you said, the natural life cycle of your cognitive abilities, your physical abilities is likely to start declining after that. So
okay, I wanted to also just touch on like the cost. We talk about this all the time. And I remember sitting in the workshop that you did. That was great, by the way.
Thank
it really
you.
opened up my eyes to just what I need, the conversations I need to be having, because end of life planning always feels very morbid.
Yes, it can be.
But it's a conversation that needs to happen, right? So talk about the hidden costs, because there also is a segment of it that you have to have some money for some upfront costs out the way. You can't just think that the life insurance money is going to come and take care of everything.
Exactly.
It doesn't work that way. So can you talk about that?
Sure. So what I tell people is, if you once you talk to that attorney, you're going to realize it's actually going to be more affordable to plan in advance than to have your family go through probate. So my packages are all significantly cheaper, I would say cheaper, than when you come to me for probate, when your family comes to me for probate. Okay. So yes, I get it. It's a couple.
So it does pay to plan.
It does. It's like anything in life, right? Like, it's gonna cost a little bit up front, but if you don't do it, it's gonna cost you more after.
Indeed, it's like the car insurance for your life.
Exactly.
Okay.
There you go. So probate, the hidden costs are a couple of things. One is courts are now getting a bit overwhelmed. I think we are seeing more people pass, and more people pass that have assets, right? And so it takes sometimes a minute to get the document that you need to even begin to act. In the meantime, if there's a house with a mortgage still has to be paid.
Correct.
Mortgage company will often say, well, you're not on the mortgage, so I can't talk to you, or you can't make a payment. Okay, so you start losing assets that way.
Right.
There is a cost to open probate, and it is based on the value of your assets.
Wow.
Somebody's got to have funds to pay that. Indeed. Okay, you got to get a bond often. Sometimes even if you have a will that says no bond. A bond is essentially kind of what you think it is for criminal cases. It is a insurance policy to make sure that whoever's getting appointed over that estate is going to do what they're supposed to do and not run off with the money. Okay,
that's it.
And so you got to get a bond, and that is paid yearly until the estate is closed. And then the other hidden cost is, you're still gonna have to bring an attorney that you were trying to avoid without doing it yourself.
Right.
And we charge hourly for probate.
I know. So that conference call that you have with your family and no one shows up but two people, that is still a billable hour, people. We just want people to know that.
Yes, it is.
So, but there's so many people who want to delay. Like they delay. Why do you think they do that?
I think it's a couple of things. I think one, traditionally people did not do this until it was end of life. And I think there probably is a little bit of superstition that, like, okay, once I do my will or my trust, then I've
spoken into existence.
Exactly. I have invited the angel of death in.
No, you have not. So let's debunk the myth now, please.
Yeah, when that's going to happen, it's going to happen.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about that resistance piece. Like, what is the worst thing that families can do in that time of resistance? Like, how do we get people out of the agita of feeling that?
So I think the worst thing that people can do in resistance, when a family member is resistant, is try to pressure that and or take matters into their own hands and kind of do like Jacob and start concocting their own, like, I'm just going to sign right here, right quick, and it's power of attorney, and now we've got a whole lawsuit after the fact.
Correct. And that's go ahead. Sorry.
No, so I was gonna say, like, don't pressure. Like, bring up the conversation. I do actually have on my site, and if you reach out to us, we can send you the talking points.
Good.
Maybe get an understanding of what it is they're resisting about. It could be something that you've never thought of. It could be that they're just like, I don't think I can afford it.
Right.
So I say, people, if that is something you're going to benefit from, then pay for mama or grandmama's estate plan. Okay, just pay for it.
Get it done. Just get it done. It's
and
a gift.
It's a gift.
It's for Christmas.
It's there you go.
Right.
Just pay for it. Understand why. And then I think what you do is you start planning for the fact that they won't plan. So you can start early talking to a probate attorney. What's going to happen? What do we need to do? Having start to write down what you can. So if you are the person that takes grandma on errands, try to remember what bank that was. I have a client right now that where are the banks? I don't know. Here's a letter. Go to a street that has most of the banks and pop in there and see if there was an account there. So do what you can. And already, if you know that there's conflict within the family, already keep that in mind. And if you know that you got that slick cousin,
please talk to them.
Yes.
So I know we're going to have to close in a little bit, but I wanted to know, what is the cost savings for people between planning ahead and planning and not planning?
Yeah. So I think on average, estate planning attorneys charge about $4,000 to $10,000 for a trust-based package. Okay. A will still goes to court. So a lot of people come to me, they want to do the will. It's a few $1,000s less, but it's still going through all the costs. So you really pay, to me, double.
Okay.
Probate, like I said, the starting cost for that is between $6,000 and $10,000. So that's just the starting cost.
Okay.
Then it's hourly. So I think that you end up saving at least double the amount by planning.
So a trust-based plan is worth the upfront investment.
I think it is. For most people, it is.
Okay. So for someone who might be on the fence, right? Like how do they rationalize the cost to them? Like when you have the conversation with your family, you're like $6,000 now versus $20,000 later.
Yeah.
How do you kind of like position that conversation?
I think you got to really root it in that estate planning is really the last act of love for your family members. Okay. So I have a number of clients that their last memory of their family member is that they're being drugged into court, fighting with somebody, having to spend a bunch of money, and there's like no time to like grieve. So I think it's the last act of love, and that's the way I would look at it.
Yes, we're gonna have an episode called "If You Love Me, You Will."
Yeah.
Really?
Exactly.
So if someone's listening right now and they realize that their family does not have the will, right, or a trust in plan, what's the very first step they should take?
They should call me. If they're in DC, Maryland, or North Carolina.
Okay, how do they do that?
They can reach out to me. Just go to my website, trustedlegalwarrior.com. Office number is 202-967-4571.
Okay.
They should start, try to figure out what's what. So know where the bank account is. If there's a deed, make sure you get a copy. You can go up and look up deeds. Anybody.
People are looking up deeds.
They are, and they're doing some fraud with that too. Don't do that, please, because I'll come after you. And then I just think, it's kind of making peace with it. So if you're on the fence about doing it, you shouldn't be. It's going somewhere. So I'd encourage you to take a look at your own state's intestate laws and see who is going to get if you don't set it up, and if that's what you want.
Okay. Well, one more time, tell people how they can find you.
Absolutely.
It's such a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem.
So I'm attorney Tyecia White with Trusted Legal Warrior PLLC. You can reach me at trustedlegalwarrior.com, and you can call the office at 202-967-4571.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Providing the information.